it is actually something we've been driving for the last 4 years. So we actually call it any service to any device, any place, any time, and I always add at the right cost in a secure way. So the whole point about what I call secure consumerization is exactly what we're trying to drive. So Cisco has always been proud to actually practice what we preach. Now, I have to be honest, it's been hard to keep up with what's happening in the consumer world. So the way we as an IT team look at it, and specifically me as one of the 4 CIOs in Cisco, Europe is a relatively expensive place to live, to work, and to do the things we do. So overall, we need to be the most productive workforce in Cisco to actually still make our fair share. So looking at this is basically driving these capabilities, looking at the consumer. And some of the learnings is actually every year in January at the Vegas show, I always take a look at what is the best and latest stuff which is being announced, which most likely will hit the streets at the consumer price to our employees. Because now, in these days, it's actually the consumer first before enterprise and universities follow. Now, we are embracing that. So basically what we said is, let's assume that more and more of our employees actually have broadband already by themselves. If we give it or not, they will have it. And maybe even better than in the office. Same for mobile devices. What's happening right now is actually how can we ride that wave, but then add the security and the enterprise quality to it whilst doing so. Now here's the thin line between how do you do that as enterprise quality versus consumer world. And the way we've looked at it is, okay, as an example, people like YouTube. So they love YouTube. It's really easy to create a personal video, share that with anyone, and having the whole way of you with your mimic and everything you do. Now what we said is, well, YouTube is nice, but it doesn't give me any guarantees as any uptime. It doesn't give me any guarantee that information is not being shared with anyone else. So we said, well, let's create an internal YouTube in Cisco. We actually call it C-Vision, and we're now rebranding it to Show and Share. But learning from those perspectives, so to your question, it is about all the things about using the mobility, using the video, but then always understanding, can we do that in a secure way, an enterprise quality way, but still at the right cost. So learning from the lessons happening in the consumer space, and that way also embracing the fact that people are much more IT savvy, was the old word for it. And too often we just assume that people don't know, but more and more people do know. And especially if you look at the next generations, they just embrace it and consider it to be normal. So that's really the way we drove that with this wave. The big challenge at the same time, last comment, you talked about the cloud. I always said the cloud is great because nobody cares where it comes from as long as they get it at the right price, and we would always say at the secure way. Now the challenge is we are a company, we are a corporation, we're a US company. So that actually means that we have to prove where our data sits and that it's compliant and according to regulations. So, but the point about virtualization is you don't know anymore where it sits. So interestingly enough, in the back end, it feels quite normal for you. It feels like a consumer experience. It feels great, but it's just my challenge, but also opportunity to automatically make sure that the data actually does sit in the right place. I can guarantee it. So when there is an audit, I can actually say, yes, I'm compliant. But that's one of the challenges if you really bring it together. To your question, yes, riding that wave, but always in the back of my mind, we're an enterprise. And how do you make sure it's actually secure and being done in a compliant regulation way?
From my perspective, you really feel a little bit for CIOs these days. On the one hand side, as Rob described, the environment is very difficult, a lot of cost pressures, etc. On the other hand, I believe it's actually a great opportunity for CIOs. I gave a keynote speech in one of the CIO summits in Europe in Amsterdam last year, and I actually put to the CIOs there that I think the Great Recession is actually too good opportunity to waste. And yes, you do face the issue. I was at a client yesterday where the CFO, we were sitting in a meeting and the CFO said, look, I want an iPad and I want all my corporate email on it. And he looked at the CEO and said, well, can you get me one? And the CEO said, well, I'm not quite clear. It actually works with my security policies, etc. So we can't have it. So as a consequence, there was, well, yeah, but I really need this. So I can see this dilemma that CIOs faces. But on the other hand, on a more business value level, recession, and assuming we will be in a longer term, not recession, but a low growth environment, companies have to be more profitable, more productive to be competitive. if you think about to create value, they need to find new ways to compete. Now, these business model innovation that you see these days, I would say 80%, 90% are all driven by technology. So technology is at the heart of the companies more than ever. And I think while CIOs, yes, face a cost challenge, at the same time, if they play it well, they can be at the heart of the company going forward.